The moment Harry and Meghan stepped onto the red carpet at the 2026 Golden Globe Awards, the room did something no one could have predicted. Not applause, not polite murmurs, a ripple of audible boos. A few sharp heckles cutting through the music, through the chatter, through the flashes of cameras. It was the kind of reaction that could make even the most seasoned celebrities pause, the kind of moment that makes headlines before a single award is given. But why? Why would two of the most watched figures in the world, figures who had been carefully cultivated in the spotlight, be met with hostility at an event designed to celebrate glamour, achievement, and recognition? The answer, of course, is complicated. It's tangled in fame, controversy, history, and a media landscape that has never been more merciless. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The red carpet is supposed to be a stage, a place where the camera loves you, where fans cheer your name, and where your image is carefully framed, filtered, and immortalized. But for Harry and Meghan, it became a battleground. Every step they took was scrutinized, every smile dissected, every outfit analyzed for hidden messages. And the audience, hungry for drama and eager to assert its judgment, was ready to make their opinions known. It was a moment that showed, in brutal clarity, that public perception can turn on you in seconds. But let's step back for a second. The Golden Globes are not just an award show. They are a cultural touchstone. They are a place where Hollywood meets history, where ambition and ego collide, and where even small missteps can become legendary. And for Harry and Meghan, this was more than a celebrity appearance. This was a confrontation with a world that has been both adoring and hostile toward them since the beginning. For years, every move they made has been amplified, criticized, dissected. Every interview, every public appearance, every philanthropic endeavor has been filtered through a lens of suspicion and fascination. The Golden Globes, in 2026, became the latest and most dramatic chapter in that ongoing story. The tension had been building for months. Rumors about their relationships with Hollywood insiders, whispers about potential awards they might receive, speculation about the couple's future projects. All of it had created an undercurrent of expectation and resentment. Many wondered, could Harry and Meghan finally be accepted as Hollywood elite? Or would they remain outsiders, royalty in exile, walking a tightrope between adoration and scorn? And when they appeared on that red carpet, the answer became immediately clear. The audience was divided, very divided, and the moment that should have been celebratory turned into an instant spectacle, a viral moment, a story that would dominate headlines worldwide. What made the reaction even more fascinating was the contrast between public expectation and the reality of the moment. Imagine the anticipation, cameras flashing, fans craning their necks, reporters poised with microphones. Every eye was on them. You could almost hear the collective inhale of the crowd as they approached, perfectly styled, poised, smiling, but not fully at ease. And then, a ripple, a murmur, a sharp, unmistakable boo. Another. And then, some laughter, some gasps, some outright heckles from the back. It was like watching a carefully choreographed drama unfold in real time, except this drama had no script. The audience, the so-called crowd of admirers, became actors in a moment of social judgment that Harry and Meghan could neither predict nor control. You might be wondering, was this a moment of genuine dislike? Or was it something more complex? Was it the culmination of years of media scrutiny, tabloid coverage, and public debate about the couple's choices? Or was it just one rogue group of attendees making their feelings known? The truth is layered, and the answer is not as simple as it seems. The reactions were amplified by history, by rumor, and by a global audience watching through screens, waiting to see whether royalty could survive Hollywood. And as the cameras captured every detail, the subtle stiffening of Harry's shoulders, the tiny falter in Meghan's confident stride, the glance exchanged between them, millions of viewers at home were suddenly part of the story. They weren't just watching. They were judging, forming opinions, and preparing to take sides. And yet, despite the boos and the heckles, there was something magnetic about the moment. Harry and Meghan, for all the controversy and all the scrutiny, still commanded attention. Every camera lens followed them. Every journalist noted their reactions. Every social media user amplified the scene. It was a paradox. The more they were rejected in that room, the more the world seemed to lean in, hungry for the drama, eager to analyze, debate, and dissect. In many ways, the Golden Globes' entrance became a symbol of their entire public existence. Loved and hated, celebrated and criticized, admired and vilified, all at once. But let's not forget the human element. Behind the flashes, the gowns, the tuxedos, and the cameras were two people who have been navigating a life in the spotlight that most could never imagine. Two people whose every decision has been scrutinized, whose every misstep has been magnified, whose every success has been interpreted as provocation. And in that moment, on that red carpet, the audience became an extension of that scrutiny. Every cheer, every jeer, every whispered comment contributed to an environment that was both exhilarating and punishing. How did they process it? How did they maintain composure when the very event designed to celebrate glamour felt like a tribunal? That's a question we'll explore in the next chapters, diving into the reactions, the whispers, and the subtle interactions that define the night. What makes this story even more compelling is the stakes. This is not just about a single night at an awards show. This is about reputation, influence, and legacy. For Harry and Meghan, the 2026 Golden Globes were a testing ground, a place where they could assert themselves in Hollywood, showcase their influence, and expand their public persona beyond royalty. But the audience's reaction turned it into a crucible. Every movement, every smile, every glance became loaded with meaning. And for viewers, both in the room and watching around the world, it became a lesson in the unpredictability of public perception. Fame, it seems, is not only fragile, it is deeply subjective, sometimes brutally so. Now, before we dive into the events of the evening itself, consider this. What would you do if the moment you were most prepared for became a public spectacle of disapproval? How do you maintain poise when the world judges you in real time? And how does one moment, mere seconds on a red carpet, transform into a global story, dissected by millions and replayed endlessly across social media and news cycles? These are the questions that underpin the story we're about to tell. They are questions that go beyond celebrity gossip and tap into something universal: the human need for acceptance, the vulnerability of being observed, and the way public opinion can shape narrative, reputation, and ultimately, history. And the most shocking part? What unfolded next on that red carpet wasn't just a simple reaction. It was the beginning of a cascade of moments, interactions, and revelations that would dominate headlines for weeks, spark endless debate, and leave both supporters and critics questioning their assumptions. There were gestures, comments, and subtle cues captured by cameras that would become talking points. There were whispers in the crowd that hinted at larger tensions, and moments so small, so seemingly insignificant, that only in hindsight would we realize their significance. The stage was set, the cameras were rolling, and Harry and Meghan, for better or worse, had entered a room that would define the narrative of the night. This wasn't just an awards show, it was a cultural moment, a flashpoint in the ongoing story of one of the most scrutinized couples in modern history. And it all began with those first boos, the ripple that no one expected, the spark that ignited a firestorm, the opening act of a drama that would unfold in real time and across every platform imaginable. The moment Harry and Meghan approached the red carpet at the 2026 Golden Globes, time seemed to slow. Cameras clicked in rapid succession. Reporters leaned forward, mics extended. Fans craned their necks, phones at the ready, capturing every fleeting moment. But there was something in the air that no one could quite name, a tension that hung like a storm cloud, thick and unrelenting. It wasn't just the excitement of Hollywood glamour. It was anticipation tinged with unease, a collective curiosity about how the world's most scrutinized couple would perform under the harshest of lights. And then they appeared. Meghan in a gown that seemed to shimmer like liquid silver, Harry in a sharply tailored tuxedo that, for the first time in months, seemed almost understated compared to the drama unfolding around them. The crowd's reaction was immediate, but not in the way anyone expected. There was a pause, almost imperceptible at first, a hesitation as cameras zoomed in and whispers filled the air. And then it started, a single, sharp, unmistakable boo, followed by another, and another. The sound was jarring. It cut through the music, the polite chatter, the flashes of light. In that instant, the energy on the red carpet shifted from celebratory to charged, from expectant to tense. Reporters, who had trained for glamorous arrivals and choreographed smiles, found themselves caught in a scene that felt almost unscripted, raw, unpredictable. The very air seemed to vibrate with the audience's response, as if the room itself were reacting to the presence of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. What makes this moment so remarkable is that it wasn't an isolated incident. The boos weren't random. They weren't whispered from a single corner. They rippled across the crowd, subtle at first, then louder, more confident, almost coordinated. Some people laughed nervously. Others whispered in disbelief. And a few, braver, or perhaps more brazen, heckled out loud, cutting through the red carpet with pointed shouts that turned heads and sent murmurs racing through the room. Harry and Meghan, as always, were composed, or at least, they appeared to be. Meghan held her head high, shoulders squared, a practiced, serene smile on her lips. Harry's jaw was tense, eyes scanning, searching for some signal, some anchor, some reassurance that this, too, would pass. But the reality of the moment was undeniable. The couple, accustomed to scrutiny, fame, and even public hostility, had entered a room that was decidedly unwelcoming. And the question on everyone's mind was immediate. Why? Why did this reaction occur? Was it personal? Was it political? Was it a reflection of decades of media coverage, tabloid speculation, and global fascination with every decision they've made? Or was it something simpler, more primal, a crowd responding in real time to the presence of two people who, intentionally or not, had become symbols of modern royalty, celebrity culture, and media spectacle? The truth, as always, is layered. The boos were a mix of genuine emotion, preconditioned judgment, and the performative nature of public gatherings. And while no one at that moment could articulate it fully, the ripples they caused were about to become waves. The red carpet, usually a place where every move is calculated, rehearsed, and polished, became a stage for tension. Every step they took was scrutinized. Every smile was analyzed. Every glance exchanged between them was magnified through the lens of expectation and prior narrative. Photographers snapped relentlessly, their cameras almost vibrating with the intensity of the moment. Reporters scribbled furiously in notebooks, capturing the minutiae of posture, expression, and wardrobe choice. Fans, half excited, half nervous, whispered to each other, speculating on what the boos might mean, why the audience seemed split, and whether the couple's Hollywood aspirations were doomed before they even began. And yet, in the midst of this scrutiny, there was a strange allure. The tension itself became magnetic. Every eye in the room was drawn to them, even those who were booing. Every camera lens focused on their faces. Every microphone leaned forward for the first word. The room, in effect, had turned into a living experiment, a test of composure under pressure, and Harry and Meghan were the unwilling subjects. There was an odd irony here. The more hostility they faced, the more attention they garnered. In a way, the audience was both punishing and admiring them simultaneously, a paradox that has followed this couple for years. But let's not gloss over the human element. What must it feel like to walk into a room where your presence is met with such immediate judgment? To feel the collective breath of a crowd shift in an instant from polite expectation to vocal disapproval? Harry and Meghan have faced scrutiny before, certainly. They have endured tabloid headlines, public criticism, and social media attacks. But the immediacy of this response, the unfiltered nature of live audience reaction, is something else entirely. It is personal, even if not directed at them individually. It is visceral, even if the cause is intangible. And it is a moment that will linger, replayed in their minds and across countless media outlets. The atmosphere on the red carpet was charged further by the subtle reactions of others in attendance. Hollywood veterans, seasoned stars who have walked countless events, looked on with a mixture of curiosity and discomfort. Some exchanged knowing glances, recognizing the cultural and social implications unfolding before them. Others seemed puzzled, unsure how to navigate the sudden tension. And some, braver still, joined in, cheering or jeering, adding their own voices to the crescendo that had begun with a single, sharp boo. And then there were the cameras. Every angle captured a different narrative. One shot showed Meghan smiling through the tension, the sparkle in her eye betraying nerves beneath the practiced exterior. Another showed Harry, jaw set, hands slightly clenched, moving with the grace of someone trained in diplomacy, yet aware that the room was scrutinizing every micro-movement. Flashes illuminated subtle interactions, gestures, glances, whispered words exchanged between the couple, between press handlers, and even between bystanders. The result was a complex visual story. A tableau of tension, power, and spectacle, frozen in time, yet alive with energy.